Unique brown cow. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Burly Fishing. Got my guy Paul here.
Sup?
And we're gonna do a little rod and reel arsenal walkthrough for this ice season, 2021 ice season, because we didn't get any ice in 2020. Some of you guys are super cool, and you got ice before we did. We didn't. Whatever. So this year we're gonna go hit the ice. I actually picked up quite a few different setups. Did you get some new stuff this year?
Very little.
Very little. Well,
very little.
He also has a lot of stuff. So you're going to see it all. Today, we're going to walk you through what rods, what reels we're using, and why. Before we get to it, if you guys like content like this, gear reviews, unboxings, fishing videos, you might want to stick around. Consider subscribing, smash the like on this video, ring that notification bell so you can see when we post more content, and come hang out with me and this guy live Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can talk to us in chat. It's a lot of fun, and I'd love to see you there. Let's get to it, shall we? First off, we got a brand new thing. Can you hold my tickle stick real quick?
Oh,
thanks, pal.
All
right. So we got the 13 Fishing tickle stick, and I'm super excited for this, mostly because Paul already has one. Now we both have tickle sticks, and we can each use tickle sticks on the ice. And it's gonna be, this video is already demonetized. The reason I'm excited for this, you guys, is that this rod specifically is super sensitive. It's got a very unique tip to it. Nope, it unties. Get out of here. All right, but I do need help with this. It rips off. Get out of here. All right, so this one right here, we ended up going with a 23-inch, and it's an ultra light. So check out the tip on this rod, first of all. It's insane. So it has a very unique flat tip section. The rest of the rod is also flat. I didn't even know that until now. Oh my gosh. So the base of the blank is actually rounded, but as you go up, it tapers into this flat body, and then the tip is very flat.
Tilt right there.
Yeah, that's the base of the blank. That's what I said. I just literally. Welcome to Burly Fishing. Welcome to the show. Already this rod is extremely sensitive, and then I ended up going with a shorter ultralight as well, so it's insanely sensitive now, and I'm super pumped for this. So I'm gonna go with super light jigs on this, probably maybe up to like a 1/16 of an ounce, and this is just, look at that, it acts almost like a spring bobber, which we have a spring bobber on one of our rods. We're gonna show you today and why we would use that too. It just means that you're going to detect those extremely sensitive bites. If we're panfish, we've done, I don't know if you guys listened to the bluegill facts episode of the Burly Fishing podcast.
It's a banger.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You guys learned a lot. I learned a lot on that episode. So go back, listen to that on the podcast. But here's the deal. Panfish are notorious for very subtle bites, and you are missing a ton of fish. Just look up any video on spring bobbers or these rods. You are missing a ton of bites because you just don't notice it, or you're mistaking like just the action or the movement of your lure, or catching your line on the ice as a bite, and it's not a bite, right? So this could resolve a lot of those problems. And Paul actually has one too. Is that the light?
This one is the 27-inch ultralight.
Ooh, went ultralight.
And this one, one of the things that I really like about this is, I think these are graphite. I'd have to go check, but yeah. See how this is open? This is right where, depending on how you hold your rods, it's right where your thumb's gonna go. I prefer to hold the really sensitive stuff like this with my finger on the tip.
Stab me in the eye.
However, this is how I hold this one.
Yeah, so you can hold it that way. We're gonna put an inline. I'm gonna show you the reel we're putting on this in a second, but if you're holding like an inline reel, a lot of times you're gonna hold it like this. So my finger's there, and what you're getting at, right, is you can feel the actual, that's the graphite blank of the entire rod, so you can feel everything, which is fantastic. All right, so let's get our reel for this ultralight 13 Fishing tickle stick, shall we?
Okay, fine, yeah, what should we do?
Boom! It's a 13 Fishing Ghost. So this is a free fall inline reel. It is their Black Betty, as you can see, right, yeah. This is a very, very fancy reel. I really am excited for this. It's super light. It's like 75 bucks, so it is not cheap. This is like the most I was ever thinking about spending. Actually, I would have never spent this money.
There it is.
I kind of, I encountered some money. Thanks, Mom. Love you. And that allowed me to get this reel. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done it, to be honest. But I'm excited to try it out nonetheless, and I think it's gonna look really nice and fish really nice as well on this tickle stick. So let's check it out. Look at that. Look at it. Oh my gosh.
Some would say it's icy.
That is so icy. So we got a really smooth inline reel. Difference between, you want to show one of yours real quick? The two reels we're going to be throwing this entire year are going to be like micro spinners, little tiny sized spinning reels, or inline reels, which are going to look like this. So difference being, obviously the line goes straight on this one rather than coming off of a spool. But nice thing about these, especially this free fall, is it's got this little trigger here. If I want to reel it up a little bit, hit some different water depths, I can do that. And then if I want to drop back down, I just go boop, and it stops on the dime wherever I want to go, which is super cool. You're having ultimate control over the depth that you're fishing.
The other thing is not having to change your grip in order to disengage the bail. So if I want to, on a spinning rig, go all the way to the bottom, I have to open up the bail. You can use your other hand, obviously, but this all one hand, no big deal. You never have to take your hand off the blank, which is nice.
Goes in my warm pocket, and then I just do this while I'm freezing.
And rising,
boom, boom, boom.
Bringing bigger panfish especially are usually on the bottom. So the smaller ones are usually up a little bit higher. So what you're, a lot of times, again, this is just generalities, what you're trying to do is get all the way to the bottom or very, very close to it. If you're not using sonar, being able to get to the bottom, know you hit the bottom, is really important. So that's why the trigger is actually a pretty nice feature, and that's kind of one of the things you're paying for.
Look at that. So yeah, just holding it here. Just like, it's so simple to use right there. That's fantastic. And then highly recommend you're wearing like some fingerless gloves or something. It makes everything easier, because if you're wearing gloves, guess what? You don't have that sensitivity that you want, right? Yeah. Like you can't feel it. So if you get that knife out again,
I won't do it.
Fine, start.
There it is.
So there we have it. First one being that Tickle Stick 23. It's a ultra light, so super sensitive with that flat. Look at that. Are you freaking kidding me?
It's a little bit.
This is absurd. This, like, because of how smooth this is going to be, I plan on this being like, if we get into perch, bluegill, crappie, well, smaller crappie, like, well, even, I mean, this can handle a lot. So this is going to be my main rod. It's just, it's light. It feels great. It ain't cheap. So this would be the most expensive setup I think we have today. 75 on the reel, 50, the Tickle Stick's 50. So it's whatever that is, 125. Math. Stay in school, kids.
It is worth it. I'll be honest. I use.
I mean, it's gonna be. You can't knock it. It's just, would you spend that money? Normally, I wouldn't.
I got the Tickle Stick last year.
I got to use it a few times, which is why I wanted it so bad.
I really liked it. I think it's just something different that I never used. So when it came out last year, it was pretty novel, and I wanted to try it, especially for ice fishing. It was worth it, and I really like it. And I think that you know, having the slip bobber essentially built into it, you get a ton. Like, I was reeling in large panfish.
You used
no
that
issue.
a ton this year.
Loved it.
Yeah, or last year.
Yep. No, I really liked it. And I think I have a flutter spoon on it. I think it does really, really well with flutter spoons, like exceptionally well, because it allows you to feel it as it's dropping. It allows you to feel it when you've just got it held there, but you don't miss any of those bites that sometimes you miss when you have heavier line to sort of manage like the larger profile of a spoon. So I think it does really well. We're gonna start light. So I have two rigs. Jeff kind of
the baby deals.
Jeff talked about the inline, and why the inline is important is the larger spool you have, the larger the spool you have. So if I had a spool that was like this big around, this is 18 inches long. If I had a big spool here, then my line has to like wind around, and there's only like 6 or 8 inches away, like 6 inches away from, you know, where the spool would be. And so you're gonna lose contact. You're not gonna be able to manage a larger fish. The inline does a nice job of dropping the line straight down and not causing a bunch of confusion as you're dropping line. So or retrieving it. This is the Ice Blues. It's made by HT, 18-inch light. This is a Panfish Slayer. I absolutely love this. Pretty cheap style reel seat, really minimalist.
You guys can find these literally anywhere. Yes. Like, go to your Academies, your Dick's, your Shields, your Walmart, like wherever you want to go, and it's that slip reel holder, right? Yeah. So you can take, like, sometimes you see guys with like
it right off.
Electric tape on there, whatever.
Paired up with the 13 Descent, Fish 13 Descent. So instead of the trigger, right? So just got the trigger.
This is our trigger style. This one actually has a button right on the reel handle. So you just press that button in and the line will release. You can also adjust like the speed, the rate of the fall of your lure, which you'll have to adjust pretty much depending on the weight of the lure that you're using. Otherwise you'll overspool. much like you do with bait casters. So you guys know how that
Stuff
goes.
happens.
This one also has that. So here's our descent speed right there. So you can adjust that. But much like, you guys know, if you buy a higher end bait caster, you're much less likely to overspool. This thing has less settings and is just a little more of an intelligent reel, I guess I would say.
It's just nicer.
It's just going to overspool less, which is sweet. That's kind of what you're paying for, right? This smooth, it's light, the frame is, right? And that's the deal. That's why it's 75 bucks. The descent's 40 bucks. If you guys are looking for it, it's $39.99. And again, you can get that just about anywhere, and sometimes it'll be on sale.
I have this is one of my favorite rods.
This is like one of the coolest looking setups.
Found it at a local spot. It's made by Frozen Puppy Custom Rods. This is a 15-inch ultralight. There's nothing to it. I use a really cheap, I mean, not really cheap, but an Eagle Claw, like inline.
They're like 20 bucks.
It's all beat up. The button on it's gone, but it all still works great. Honestly, if I could take one rod out and I knew I was only going to panfish,
this one?
This is the one.
Wow.
This thing absolutely slaughters. The thing I like about it is that while it's very sensitive, it breaks right here, not way out here, right after the first guide. What that has allowed me to do is you get great sensitivity, but you can handle fish. This thing punches way above its weight in terms of bringing in fish.
On the smallest rod that we have today.
I love this thing.
Because your other one was, the Blue Ice was
a couple inches longer, 18.
Yeah, so this is a 15-inch rod.
You do have to hold it like so. I never do it in this way. You can't feel the blank anywhere. I mean, this is just how I use it.
Plastic handle.
That's the only drawback to this, is like custom, right, whatever. That's the only drawback that I found, is I don't love this setup as much. I'd rather have something that's totally exposed. That being said, this is a small price to pay because this is how I fish half the time anyways. Yeah. This thing is a killer. It also has, they're tape glued on, but these guides are actually super, super nice. Yeah. So I'm a big fan. Cheap, easy.
And by the way, like, I didn't know this till I started ice fishing, but holding a rod and reel like this it's so cool.
It's a game changer.
It feels really good.
It's a game changer.
He said it. All right, so next up, we got actually the same rod, different reels on these, because I don't think you liked the 13 fishing
I have mine on a different one.
Oh, you
because
switched
it's larger. Yep.
Okay, well, got the 13 Fishing Thermo Ice. You guys are looking for like a good all-around light rod. I really like this Thermo Ice. It's also super cheap. What was this, like 30 bucks?
Yeah.
For the combo, it was like 30 or 40 bucks. These things are not expensive. Comes with that standard spinning reel, right? Just like that. And it's not a bad reel. It's not anything to write home about. It's closer to like, it's a little better than like some of the cheaper Shakespeares maybe that you get.
That's what I have on one of mine. Yeah, that's
like with the ugly. So if you guys get the ugly stick combo coming up in a second, you get like those Shakespeare reels, and I mean they're fine. This is like a step above that. It's a little bit heavier, but it does work. I got a 24-inch light on this. This is where I'm bringing in the spring bobber this year. Check this out, guys. So spring bobber is just like a little ultralight wire with like a bright neon loop section there. So you actually run your line down through that. And what's gonna happen is, see how much flex this has? It's not gonna break or anything because it's a wire, but it's gonna allow you to sense, again, those super sensitive bites. So, I mean, look up videos on the spring bobber. I'm telling you guys, there's some good stuff out there. It's super sensitive. You're not gonna miss those bites anymore. I plan on catching many more fish. I guarantee I lost fish last year. It was also like my first year really ice fishing. Sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened because I probably mistaked catching ice a lot.
Dude, it's definitely a skill. But the nice thing about those, and they make plug versions. They make the kind that like Jeff has right here where you kind of get them on there and what do you heat shrink them on?
Yeah, so this has a little heat shrink that just kind of slips over there and then you just bend the edge of the wire there so it won't come off. But it's also adjustable, therefore, so you can like bring it in or out, whatever, depending on like what depth you're fishing, what you're getting.
It's just a nice. That's a nice way to do it. You can get the kind where you just plug them into the tip of your rod there and then run your line through it. They're very simple, but that's adding all the sensitivity. So I recommend only using those when you're going to be using really lightweight jigs. Definitely not heavier spoons, or really honestly, I'm probably not going to use it for a walleye rig unless again you're going really lightweight.
Which is why I have other rods.
Yeah, one thing I want to call out too is the reason I don't buy a lot of gear for ice fishing. I have rods, but the rods typically aren't that expensive. I use micro size reels that I've had from other river rigs. So
dual purposes.
This is I don't know if you guys remember when Gander Mountain used to make stuff.
You guys remember Gander
You
Mountain?
remember Gander?
Pretty great place.
I used to love Gander Mountain stuff. I really did. Like all their branded stuff. I still have some of their plastics because I bought a ton of them. This is a 500 size, so pretty darn small. It's perfect size. Look at that thing. It's perfect. I think these were like 50 bucks back in the day. You're not really asking a lot from the drag during ice fishing season. So, I mean, honestly,
sometimes we're pulling fish like 2 feet.
Yeah,
it's just like they're in and they're out.
Yeah,
like,
and you're not winding a ton of line on 100 yards at the most.
Unless you're going for
super light
lake
stuff.
trout and giant pike or something.
Generalities, you're not asking for a lot from your reel. It's very much like fly fishing where it's something that holds the line. It's nice to have something that goes up and down very easily, never gets caught, all that. That's all great. You're not asking for a lot. Something like this is a way that you can, I just use my river rigs, my ultralight rigs on here. That's actually what I have on the rest of my stuff. So
which ultralight river rigs, fantastic. If you guys don't fish ultralight on the river,
you're missing out.
It's so fun.
So this is a Frable Odin, super cheap. You can get these anywhere. I think these are in like the $20 or $30 or $40 range for like a full setup.
I would say most of the setups that we've got are under 50 bucks.
Yeah.
Right? Guaranteed.
Absolutely.
So if you guys, again, go to the store and you're like, oh, like, is it worth spending the extra money to catch fish? No. Like, you're going to catch fish on the cheap stuff too. And I really find, like, because these use the spinning reels, you don't see as big a difference between that versus buying your bait caster setup. Like, if you underspend on a bait caster setup, you can learn how to cast on it. It's just not going to be that easy. And on these, like, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
No, it really doesn't.
You're still catching fish.
That's why my personal recommendation is buy the, I know you can get a lot of decent combos, but you can get, a lot of times you can get rods on sale and the rods are not that expensive. So I kind of recommend if you have
your spinning
if you have an ultralight and you're kind of getting into it, do what I did. I bought the rod separate, so I bought this on its own. And then I had this is an old Sienna. It's double the size as 1000, but this is a 26-inch rod, so that
still does
spool
work.
size I'm like maybe 12 inches away, and I have no problems. It works totally fine. But yeah, it works. This is a killer. This is probably this started out as my OG, has become my loner, but it's probably second most fish caught.
Bring your buddies on the ice.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it's not, and like we live in Michigan and we have a pretty big ice fishing community, I would say, but like I've lived in Michigan almost my entire life and I've never ice fished until this year. So you probably have friends that fish or are into fishing or interested in this that would go out on the ice with you at least for an hour or two.
We're gonna try and showcase what ice fishing is really supposed to be, because I think a lot of times
it's way more fun than you guys think.
It's really easy to think that it's just like misery.
You Texas boys are always hitting me up like, there's no way I'll go sit on the ice, freeze my butt off.
Sit on a bucket, stare at the hole.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Actually, it is.
It can be a ton
Promise
of fun.
you guys, just wait.
Do you have another rig?
Yeah, I got one more.
Hit it.
Okay, so.
Oh, this looks familiar.
Yeah, next rig I've got, also brand new, thanks to my boy Sir Paul's over here. So if you guys saw our Christmas episode where we gave each other gifts, this was a pretty fantastic setup that Paul got me. It was my first inline reel before I went and spent $1 million on another set. So this is the Descent Combo. Again, the inline reel Paul showcased on one of his other rods there. Pretty decent inline reel. It's 40 bucks. It's like a great, I would say, midway, intermediate like level
Honestly,
reel.
if you're gonna spend money on an ice fishing reel, between that and Eagle Claw, that's probably where I would just recommend that people start.
Yeah, this is a great starting point. So it's kind of like you're getting your first bait casting reel and you go Blackmax, right? The Abu Garcia Blackmax is like the standard intro getting into bait casting because it just works and it's like 40, 50 bucks. So if you're looking to do like an inline reel for your ice fishing, I think this thing is pretty fantastic. I used yours a lot last year, which is why I knew it was good. It takes a little bit longer than say like the Ghost Freefall, obviously, to get set up because there's more settings to it, but much like the Blackmax, you'll figure it out, and it makes you a better fisherman for that, I would say, or a woman. So then we got the White Noise that we paired up with that. So this is the White Noise. It's a 26 medium, so it's got a little more backbone to it, and this would be my slightly bigger fish fighter. And I really love having the inline set up with that. I got another one I'll show you in a minute that's a regular spinning reel, but having that versatility really helps that I can play the water depth, and I'm probably gonna be throwing my spoons on this. So you mentioned earlier, like, you get that spring bobber, you're probably not like gonna be jigging spoons and stuff like that. That's what this one's for. The price on this combo, you're looking at about 40 bucks for that reel, 25 bucks for the rod, unless you can get it on sale. So it's about 65 bucks. So I mean, that's definitely like right up the middle as far as that intermediate cost range. Do I recommend starting there? Probably not. But if you want to get into a decent inline setup, this is it. I have 4 rods now, 4 rod and reel combos. Having that, much like your normal open water season stuff, having that variety is really helpful because you don't know all the time what you're going to be getting into. So if we want to target 2 or 3 different species for the day, having this variety really helps out, where I can go from the tickle stick, like ultra light setup, all the way up to these heavier duty guys if we want to get into pike, or if we get into bass or something and we want to fight them a little bit harder, work deeper depths, bigger lures. You know, we got it.
You're not gonna grab a flipping stick and put a an ultralight spinner on it, right? It's the same concept. Like, so and to that end, I have my last one is a 30-inch medium. I've got that. What is this? The
Thermo Ice.
Thermo Ice. Thank you.
The 13 Fishing Thermo Ice reel on there.
Up with like I said, a 30-inch medium heavy.
The ugly stick, baby.
Ugly stick. The thing about the ugly stick is with the kind of trademark flex at the tip. Yeah. This thing honestly does it all. I recommend. Yeah. These are not expensive. For any type of fishing, we would say that's a great place to start.
Like the ugly stick's it was like my first setup. I had a 6.6 ugly stick combo. Yep. And like you can't beat it. I got a 2-piece, so I used to keep it in the back of my truck, like on the back seat. And I'd be like, all right, pull over, we're gonna fish. And I just have like a little tiny tackle box on the back seat of my truck.
It's great though. But the guides on this are actually really nice. You can see those are metal all the way through. It's got the sensitive tip. This is a pike walleye rig that I actually really enjoy fishing. And again, for the money, it's hard to beat. 30-inch medium heavy. This is probably the heaviest I would ever go. Unless you're going to be catfish, that's the heaviest, something like this.
That's the heaviest one we've showcased
by far. But when you get big, heavy metal at the end, and then when you're dealing with a lot of live bait, and if you're going to be trying to bring in big fish, like Jeff was talking about, if you're targeting bigger species,
hopefully we do this year.
We will be. This is what you're going to need. Now, I reckon, like if you're just starting out, I think that a light or an ultralight.
Yeah, if you just go pan fishing. It's kind of like when you get into fishing normally, like worm and bobber, right? Like let's go out, light, ultralight gear, just plug a bunch of fishies. This is my last one I'll get to. Yeah. Just go plug a bunch of fishies, have a good time. If you're just getting into ice fishing, highly recommend. So like last year, we started out like how I normally fish the first day that I went ice fishing. And I was very nervous to be on the ice. And you remember, like, we were walking. So ice makes sounds, you guys. Constantly. By the way, I don't know if you know this. Constantly, it's just like... And I was like, bro, are we okay? Like, the whole time, Paul's like, dude, shut up. Like, obviously, we're okay. It's 8 to 10 inches thick. Like, it's not going anywhere. Yeah. But anyways, so once I got over that, like, we didn't get into fish for a couple hours, and I was getting very frustrated. If you remember, like, the first fish I pulled through the ice, I wish I had this on camera. I pulled a perch out. I jumped up, and I ran around in a circle, slipped on the ice, fell right on my ass. It was just like, whoops. Dude, it was so fun, though. So, yeah, I perch, bluegill, maybe if you got a good crappie lake, you got a pond with bass that you know there's bass there, go get some easy fish. Have a good time. Like, get a cheap setup, get a cheap bucket for $5. You know, we've got Yeti buckets, but, like, we're not going to be running around saying, like, you know, get a Yeti bucket because here's a $5 bucket. Like, get a cheap bucket, get a cheap setup. We'll show you all our cheap stuff as we go through this season, this year. Start with the easy stuff. Just have fun. Starts with fun. Then you level up, just like regular fishing. All right, so last setup I got for you guys today. This is my heavy boy. So this is the Abu Garcia. It's the Veritas Ice. And it's a combo. I want to say it was like 50 bucks. I'm pretty sure I got it on sale as well. It's got a pretty, like, look at the length on this. Yep. It's got a pretty long, like, reel seat, which is interesting, but it gives you a ton of room. Look at that. I can fit my entire hand there very comfortably. Blank is not exposed, but you can kind of feel it with the side of your finger there, or if you're holding it like I do right here, you just put your tip of your finger right there so you can feel the action of this rod, because it's got a heavy backbone. This thing it's a medium, it's 29 inches, but it is a heavy rod essentially. Like this, we went on a big lake last year and we were like, we might get into some lake trout. And I was only jigging spoons on this. So that's kind of the play. Like this is going to be my big boy fishing rig. And if we're going after the big beasts, the toothy critters, generally I'm going to take this. I'm going to put like our little baby liplesses on there, the jigging wraps, the spoons. That's this guy right here. I do like the reel. I mean, it's just a basic Veritas spinning reel with the extra long seat, which is super awesome. Like I said, I love that setup. But again, if you're looking for a decent setup to start out with bigger fish, I kind of like this. And it's got a little like ratcheting setup for the seats.
The one thing I want to call it with this combo is that you really should use it as a combo. And if you're only going to buy the reel, make sure you use a larger profile reel. Look at the size of the guides. These are a lot bigger than some of the other guides. So you use, they're high quality and they're great, but they're meant for using a larger spool that's further away from the rod. You can see how big that guide is compared to some of the other ones that we were using. These are large guides. There's nothing wrong with that. This is going to work fine. I'll be honest, I prefer, you either need to use this type of combo or I would go with like a kind of more standardized ice combo, only because if you put a smaller or inline reel on this rod, you're not going to be taking advantage of this guide. It's too big and it's built to have the spool further away from the rod. So this is a great combo. I've recommended it to a lot of people because it's nice. You can find a lot of places and it's priced right and it works. I would not mix and match with that one. That's my only call out.
Don't do it. It's a blend. All right, you guys, hopefully this video was helpful for you, especially if you're looking to get into ice fishing this year. And you're just curious, like what kind of combo. We just gave you, how many did we just showcase?
I think I did 6.
You had 6, I had 4. You got 10 combos, some like custom combos that we made ourselves. You know, you can do that too. It's really easy, doesn't have to be expensive. It's actually quite a bit less expensive as compared to getting started into you know, standard open water bass fishing or something like that.
You don't need a boat.
You don't need a boat. Well, I mean, let's say you're bank angling, right? You still need a tackle box, all the lures, probably a lot of them, rod and reel combo, $5 bucket, $30 setup. Get that thermo ice. We looked it up. It's $28.99. So, you know, get that thermo ice, $28.99. Maybe if you got, like I go to Dick's Sporting Goods, for example, you get,
use the points, bro.
Use your points, man. That's how Paul got me my combo. Like, you get your $10 back or whatever. Yeah. Boom, thermo ice is now $18.99. That's a heck of a deal. Get a couple jigs, wax worms, $2.99 for like 30, 50, 60 of them. Spikes, you can get a ton of spikes, like whatever. So you can get a ton of those, throw them on that tiny jig, and all you need is an auger, which is...
Hopefully you have a coat.
I mean, I'm assuming if you're in a region with ice, you have a coat. Just wear your dang coat. And augers are pretty dang cheap for a handheld auger. Plus you get a workout
I use mine constantly.
for free.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So again, hopefully this video was helpful for you. If it was, consider subscribing to the channel. Smash the like on this video, ring that notification bell so you can see when we drop more content, and come hang out with me and this guy live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern for the BurlyFishing podcast. You can talk to us in chat. Love to see you there. It's a ton of fun. Thanks for watching again, you guys, and we'll see you out on the ice.